Let's say you got 10 new clients overnight, what would break first? And if the answer is you, that's a good sign that you're doing too many things. If that's you and you're out there hearing this and you feel really like guilty or convicted or anything like that, it's not about you. It's not like you're bad. You just don't have that structure in place. And I've worked with agency founders for the last 11 years in the trenches. It's rare that someone had a 10-year plan of where they wanted their agency.
Welcome to the Happy Clients Podcast, brought to you by Dot & Company. Whether you're a virtual assistant, an agency owner, or a client-facing account manager, we all deal with clients. Lucky for you, client management is what we do best. Now, let's dig in, chat cam life, and have some fun along the way. Cheers to happy clients.
Well, welcome back to the Happy Clients Podcast. Today, I have invited a very special guest, Chris Rudolph, to the show. He is an expert when it comes to helping agency owners scale and remove themselves from the overwhelmed operator seat. So I'm excited to bring him on the show and give you some nuggets that could absolutely change how you run your agency. So welcome back, Chris.
Hey, great to be here, and thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So Chris, I wanted to start out by asking if an agency owner listening, if they took one of the things that we're going to talk about and actually implemented it into their agency, what kind of result are they going to see? What is kind of the big win they're going to get from this episode?
Yeah, the big thing, clarity is just such a powerful force. You think of like overwhelm, stress, anxiety, frustration. So, a lot of times the first step for anything, whatever that thing might be, is clarity. So I think by the end of today, you'll really see some clarity in a couple of different areas. And when you have clarity, you have confidence. And when you have confidence, you take action. And that's really, without taking action, you're not going to really see change. So that's clarity is a big thing.
I agree. And it's interesting that we're having this conversation today because I have been chatting with a few people about our acquisition of Dot & Co. And one of the things they asked me was, what would you do differently next time? And one of the things on my list was hire a coach consistently. And I wish that I had someone like you in my corner every week while I was growing the business, because I think I would have gotten a lot further quicker by having a coach. So I'm glad we're having this conversation today, because I hope that at least one agency owner listening will go out and hire someone like you to help them escalate their results. So let's dig into something I find really interesting about how you coach agencies, which is the one result framework. So can you explain what this means to you and how an agency owner might apply this in their agency day to day?
Yeah, I think especially in agency, I can't think of a different field or business that changes quicker than digital marketing agencies. First of all, it hasn't been around for like 50, 60 years in a way, like let's say a legal firm or a dentist. So there's not a lot of proven business models. So you have like the whole like leading your business part that's still evolving and changing and maturing. But then you have all the platforms that you work off of and you and your team work off of to produce results for your clients. And I mean, has anything changed quicker than that? I mean, just think of the last 6 months with AI. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's probably taking for granted that you have too much on your plate. So what I really see is effective is simplifying and getting very, very specific. So I think it's like the power of ones. That's like a framework when I think of agency growth, removing yourself from the day-to-day. I like to move down to what's the one thing you can do. And kind of the foundation for any agency is the result that you get for your clients. So what I want you to really think about clarifying, what is that one result that you're going to get your clients for one type of client? So a really good example of this is, let's say I'm an agency in Toronto and I focus in on getting qualified patients for chiropractors in the U.S., in the Midwest of the U.S. So that's very specific, like one result for one particular type of client. And you and your team can become an expert of that. And that's really, really powerful Instead of trying to like, we're gonna generate some sales for an e-com brand here, or we're gonna get leads for a B2B SaaS company there, or we're gonna get some foot traffic for a local business here. You and your team are set off in all these different directions, and you can't really become an expert or a master in one, in three of those things. It's best to just be a master at one.
So once someone has landed on what this one thing is that they're going to be, quote, known for, how would an agency shift their messaging, their client experience, or the internal delivery so this single promise is being executed?
Yeah, I think, that last part of like aligning your team to like a single promise is probably where the most efficiency comes. Just because I just think, with how quickly everything is innovating, how platforms are changing, how AI is changing everything. If you are just focused on one thing, that's fewer variables that you have to figure out, and you're going to be ahead of other agencies that are having to, work with a lot of different clients and kind of, reinvent their systems or totally revamp everything. You can move a lot quicker. So that I think that's a really big part of it. And I think, it's helpful for messaging as well, is you get known for doing one thing. And, and I think you probably have seen this as well, where specialists are in higher demand and they always make more than generalists. And even in challenging economic times, specialists always command more and they're in higher demand. So by focusing in on one result, you are automatically the specialist and you can become the go-to source on the internet for what you do faster.
Yep, agreed. And when it comes to client retention, so not only getting these clients, but keeping them, when it comes to the client retention piece, how have you seen that play out when agencies specialize in one thing?
Yeah, I think your clear messaging, so you're setting expectations when a client comes to you. So that's big, meeting expectations or exceeding expectations is a big part of retention. And also, like, you get really good at getting that result. And I think that's like the fundamental thing of what a brand or organization is coming to a marketing agent for, is to get a result. So if you're focused on that and you don't lose sight of that, which is easy to do in an agency, especially as you're growing, is, you're putting out fires. Maybe you as a founder, you're the head HR person, you're the project manager, you're the account manager, you're even in maybe some client accounts at the time. It's easy to lose focus on what's the most fundamental thing for an agency. So ultimately, the results are going to be a big piece of that retention. And then being able to really share that story of like what the results are is a really key part as well.
Mm-hmm. And when I know, like, speaking right into my soul when you're talking about the agency owner doing all of the things, so being the head of HR, account manager, etc. You've obviously helped so many agency owners get out of that seat, but what are some of the signs that you see when you're like, okay, you are way too stuck in that operator seat. You're just a glorified freelancer. You need to really move into that real CEO seat. What are some of those things that you're seeing when us agency owners are working in the day-to-day? Yeah, so much. One, you can just look at your P&L, basically at revenue. And I see a couple different particular spots that are pretty common. When you hit around like the 25K, 30K mark, if you're too involved in the day-to-day, you're going to hit a sticking point. And I guess it sounds like, kind of simplistic to be like, oh, it's just about numbers, but it's really true. That, and also breaking the 100K per month revenue mark is a big indicator that you're out of the day-to-day and you're not, you're not the project manager all the time. You're not the account manager. You're not doing the client work. If you are, you see agencies kind of stall out at like 70, 80, even 90K, and they can't really break through.
So that's like a really big sign of that. The other thing is, a lot of times I'll ask this question of like, okay, if you, let's say you got 10 new clients overnight, what would break first? And if the answer is you, that's a good sign that you're doing too many things. And I know if that's you and you're out there hearing this and you feel really like guilty or convicted or anything like that, it's not about you. It's not like you're bad. You just don't have that structure in place. And I've worked with agency founders for the last 11 years in the trenches. It's rare that someone had a 10-year plan of where they wanted their agency and they're a natural CEO personality. Most of the time, these are accidental businesses that you maybe came from big corporate or a big agency and you wanted something more. You wanted freedom. And you went off on your own and you do great work and you care about your clients and things grow from there and it just keeps growing and you're in the weeds, your head down. And before you know it, you have employees, you have contractors, and you have all these problems. And that's just where you're at. So it's not like it's not your fault. You just don't have the system and the support to be able to remove yourself at different points.
Yeah. Do you think it's a mindset shift or is it just knowing who to hire first? Where do you see that most agency owners come up against themselves?
I think one, it's very emotional because there's a lot of emotion and rightfully so. Like this is your baby, and a lot of times it comes from the place. That's why I love this industry and this community is that it's because a majority of people really care about your clients. You're doing it for the right reasons, and that's a high stakes. And to let go of certain things and not have that control over, what's perceived as control over the quality, is a really hard to let go. And also, if you've tried things in the past and it didn't go well, that can make you even more gun shy. So I think a lot of times first is the mindset piece and actually having a plan. And a lot of times you may be sitting there and you need like 5 roles. But if you try to hire all those, first of all, like financially, it's probably not a good move for you to do. But if you don't have the time you probably don't have time to onboard those. Or maybe you haven't raised your skill set to really onboard and lead high level people before. So it's just good to do that systematically. So I think like bringing some kind of to your right brain, high emotion, you want to just bring some balance. So emotion isn't bad. You just want to bring some balance with data. So different like systems and tools and frameworks can really help to be able to do that incrementally and help you make like decisions that aren't just based on fear or like a fear of losing control and those type of things, which are real, which every probably business founder deals with.
Absolutely. It's this fear of it's kind of like the chicken or the egg, right? Like I need to hire someone, but I don't want to hire them before I'm ready. And what if this happens? I think we all go through that. And you've helped enough agency owners to see what happens when they actually follow through and they actually invest in removing themselves from those day-to-day seats. Do you have a first hire that you recommend, or is it case by case? Because I know a lot of agency owners get out of fulfillment first, or some of them get out of account management or sales. But do you have a recommendation? First of all, I didn't read this in a book. Like I've experienced this. Like I started my first company at 23, knew my craft, had no clue about business, and it was like steep learning curve. So, like decades of like mentors and coaches and learning is where I've learned this, and it's a discipline. But I think a lot of times what I take clients through, we do kind of inventory of what are the things that need to be done that you're not good at and it really sucks the life out of you. So common ones that come up are like bookkeeping and accounting. That can be a really good first step if you don't have that in place. Having someone really take care of that.
Just because as things grow and change, and I know agency life isn't linear. It's certainly not linear on a spreadsheet or on a P&L as well. You need to have accurate data to be able to make really good decisions. And when it's probably things you could do, but you don't get around to doing, or you put it off because it's a pain or you hate it. But that also is a stressor in the back of your mind. And that's, when we talked about earlier, like hiring, if you don't know where your books are and your finances are, that's going to make that next hire even more challenging. Even if on paper, let's say you're paying yourself $100 an hour and you could pay someone else $20 an hour to do those exact same jobs, the math on paper, that you gain leverage. But if you don't even know where your numbers are, that's going to create a lot of anxiety and uncertainty. You're going to be less likely to take the leap there. You were asking about like what are some other common ones. One could be if you're still doing some of the marketing, like let's say you're doing ads or you're doing content or building websites, whatever it may be. That's probably a really good step to be
for
at.
your clients or for yourself.
For your clients, I guess for yourself as well. That'd be another one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think just getting a executive assistant or a virtual executive assistant is a huge thing, especially when you have a lot of little admin type of things, and there are things that like, oh, this only takes 5 minutes to do, or this only takes 10 minutes to do. That's a really huge. Just a game changer. And I could tell you stories here for an hour. I won't. Of some agency folks who are like leaders and they've scaled up an agency to like, $2 million a month from like very small, and they're starting their own brands. And they were like sweating bullets about hiring a $25 an hour executive assistant. And it was like a leap in their mind. And it's really a game changer and kind of demonstrates what is possible when you put the right people in place and you have the right system.
I selfishly want to get your opinion on hiring account managers and what you've seen, maybe more the results of when your clients actually bring in somebody to take off the client work. Because for us, we hear this all day, every day. Agency owners they're drowning. They're in all the Slack channels. They're on all the client meetings. They're trying to onboard clients. And to your earlier question, if you onboarded 10 clients tomorrow, what would break? And oftentimes it's that onboarding piece. But when you see agency owners bring in this account manager into that seat, what happens? What are the results?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's the most, it unlocks growth like any other ones. Now, you might need some intermediate steps to get there, like accounting, VAs, someone to run ads for your company, things like that. But it's the biggest change, but it also has the most weight. And it's a lot of times the percentage when people try to do it themselves without a system in place and just try to like, oh, this person's resume looks good, but they don't come with a system, or they don't have a system that they can plug them in. It can go really wrong. So it is, so a lot of times when the founder is the account manager as well, I mean, they have the passion, they're highly invested, and they know, like, a lot of times they're the marketing expert and strategist. So they can be good at retaining clients, but they tend not to be, on average, not everyone, like at communication and follow through, not very good. So the overall account management can be at a lower level than, like, maybe the other things kind of keep the clients for now, but they aren't doing things as well. So when you bring in someone who's, they're not an owner, maybe they're not a high level strategist as they are, and they don't walk into any system, it just doesn't go well. And a lot of times the founder doesn't even know what that system should be, because they never really schooled in account management. So that's why I really recommend, like, companies like Dot & Co. who either if you're placing an account manager, they come trained and with a system, they can train you on it and they like what you need in your account management, or they can train your existing account manager, because that is a big gap that I see. It has a lot, like there's a lot on the line. Like if you own the relationship with the client, I can think of one client about a couple years ago that the account manager came with a great resume. Everyone actually liked them. They were a very likable person, but they found out later that it was a complete disaster and clients have already left. It was a lot to clean up and it costed them a lot.
Yeah, it's like you said, it has the biggest weight. And I think that sometimes agency owners see an account manager as just a butt in the seat. And they're just, oh, I need to hire an account manager because every agency has account managers. But they overlook the importance of having those systems and having those already proven playbooks that they can plug and play into the agency to get results. Because if you have a bad account manager, it goes really bad. And if you have a great one, it goes really well. And so you have to be very particular about who you bring into that seat. And I'm glad that you've seen that in action, because we see that every day as well. And it's kind of a make or break when it comes to the success of that agency, but also the make or break of that agency owner being able to step away. Because I don't know about you, but until I have somebody that I can really trust with my clients, I will never actually check out, because I'm just worried. I'm just micromanaging. And until you have that person who just shows that they're doing a great job, you never really get over that overwhelm.
Yeah, I see it. I see it on a regular basis. It's so true. And if you're not prepared and you don't have the right person, like it goes badly. And then like, it's tempting just to constrict almost away. And like, I'm not going to like trust anyone again. And it becomes a big thing. And it can lead to years of just like drudgery as an agency founder.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's kind of leave our listeners with one piece of advice you would give an agency owner who wants freedom and happy clients. What would you tell them they must do?
Yeah, I think you need to, a couple things. One, like we talked about earlier, focusing on the result. Don't let that ever become secondary. Like, what is the result, and align you and your team around that. And I think a big part of that is account management. And even if you don't have an account manager in place right now, or you're not happy with what it is, like, I think you need to have that system even if you're running it even in the short term for your clients, and in a plan is really, really key. And then you want to bring in people that are really good. And I always think of like, I don't like to buy tactics or individual strategies or hire just a person. I want to look to hire systems, the person that comes trained in a system, or I want to hire systems, or I want to hire a consultant that's going to install those systems. That's where the real leverage is. So that's how I would really encourage all the agency founders out there to think of like, what can come with a system, even if it's a person, because that's gonna deliver consistently over time. And if you don't have a system, you're gonna have to jump in and save the day, and there's no freedom in that.
That's right. What I love about you, Chris, is that you're so focused on the systems and using the proven methods across all of your clients. And I love that, because my brain works the same way. It's like, if there's not a system, I don't want it. And I love that you can help agency owners just plug that right into their business. And like I said, when we started, I wish that I had this when I started, because I think I would have grown a lot faster and made a lot less mistakes. And Chris has generously offered any one of our listeners access to one of his agency growth assessments. So if you're an agency owner and any of this has resonated, definitely recommend clicking the link below. Chris, could you just give us like a snapshot of what that assessment looks like so people know what to expect?
Yeah, so it starts out as 30 minutes, and I'm just going to ask you a bunch of questions, just get under the hood of your agency, and just like, it's kind of like going to the doctor, just to see like, you're probably doing some things really, really well, but there are some things that are maybe some gaps or some things that could change that could make a big difference. And we'll discover that. And then I can help put together like a custom growth plan that you can take and you can implement, or if you'd like some help implementing that, that's available as well. But you can't, you want to be aware of something so that you can do something about it. It's hard to take action if you're not aware of it. So it's a really great place that I'd be happy to help some agency founders out there. Just become aware and just get that, second set of eyes. When you're in it, I know this from experience. When you're in the thick of it and you're focused, you're passionate, you have a goal, but then you have all these demands at you and the pressure's on, you can become very tunnel vision. And it's just great it's a really great practice to have mentors, board members, coaches, peers that can give you feedback and see some of the things that you're not seeing. So that I just want to I appreciate you, appreciate your community, and how you go about things, and want to be able to open that up for a few.
Wonderful. Well, that's very generous of you. We will add the link below. He has 5 spots for that growth assessment. So highly recommend you take him up on that offer. But Chris, thank you so much for coming on. This was such a great conversation. And I love the way that you really approach agency growth and removing the agency owner, because that is definitely something I'm passionate as well. But thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll see you on the next one.
So great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Cheers to happy clients.